My name is Richard Blackwell. I am 48 years old, and this story is not about what they did to me. It's about what I understood after they did it. For most of my life, I believed respect was earned by consistency. Show up, do the work, stay quiet. I was wrong. I spent 26 years inside one industry, not as a face, not as a brand, as a backbone. When systems failed, I fixed them. When people failed, I protected them. When mistakes happened, I buried them quietly. I didn't ask for credit. That made me invisible. Invisible men are useful until they become inconvenient. The betrayal didn't feel dramatic. No shouting, no accusations, just distance. Meetings I once led were suddenly rescheduled. Decisions I once approved were reconsidered. My opinions became optional. That's how removal begins. They didn't push me out. They waited for me to disappear. The man leading this transition was someone I trusted. I hired him, defended him, promoted him. He smiled the whole time. He said, "Richard, we need a more progressive image." Progressive. That word has buried more loyalty than betrayal ever has. I asked one question. Am I the problem? He didn't answer. Silence is an answer. 2 weeks later, my role was dissolved. Not eliminated. Redistributed. That's how theft wears a suit. They thanked me for my years of service, handed me a folder, shook my hand, and expected closure. I gave them nothing. No anger. No pleading. Just a nod. At home, I sat alone longer than usual. Not shocked. Just disappointed. Because I realized something painful. They didn't fear my authority. They feared my memory. I knew where everything was hidden. Who signed what? Who approved shortcuts? Who benefited quietly? That kind of knowledge is dangerous. They thought removing me would erase it. They were wrong. I didn't plan revenge that night. I planned distance. Because distance turns emotion into strategy. Weeks passed. Then takes started surfacing. Not loud ones. Costly ones. Clients questioned consistency. Partners asked for clarification. Internal teams contradicted each other. The system had lost its anchor. And for the first time, someone called me. Carefully. "Richard, are you watching what's happening?" I smiled. Not because I was enjoying it. Because I was ready. I wrote one sentence in my notebook. They removed the man who remembered everything. That was the moment revenge stopped being personal and became inevitable. People think disappearance means defeat. It doesn't. It means preparation. After I left, the company didn't collapse. That would have been too obvious. It drifted. Decisions took longer. Not because they were complex. Because no one wanted ownership. Ownership had always been mine. I watched quietly, from a distance. Not stalking. Observing. Former colleagues stopped calling. That told me fear had replaced curiosity. Fear always comes first. The man who replaced me spoke loudly. In meetings. In interviews. On panels. Men who talk too much are trying to convince themselves. I began receiving messages. Not for help. For context. Was this process always this complicated? Do you remember why this client required extra approval? Did we ever resolve this issue? They weren't asking questions. They were searching for memory. I answered selectively. Never completely. Never emotionally. Just enough to let uncertainty grow. Inside the company, leadership pushed speed. Because speed hides confusion. They overrode safeguards. Removed review layers. Approved deals I had blocked. One deal in particular caught my attention. Large. Urgent. Poorly structured. The kind of deal that looks profitable until it isn't. I remembered why I rejected it years ago. Regulatory exposure. Hidden liabilities. Reputational risk. They signed it anyway, because confidence had replaced caution. That deal didn't fail immediately. It attracted attention. External reviewers asked questions. Auditors requested documentation. Partners demanded clarification. The man who replaced me started making promises. Promises he couldn't keep. I received a call late one night. Unknown number. Breathing first. Then a voice. Richard. We may need your perspective. Perspective. That's what people ask for when they don't want responsibility. You removed my perspective, I replied calmly. I respected that decision. Silence. Heavy. The call ended without resolution. But something had changed. They knew. Inside the company, paranoia spread. Emails were copied widely. Meetings recorded. Instructions documented. Fear turns confidence into caution. Another resignation followed. Then another. Experience leaves first. I opened my notebook again and wrote. They thought removing me would remove friction. Instead, it removed memory. The dangerous thing about memory loss in institutions is repetition. Mistakes repeat. Patterns return. Consequences multiply. And this time, no one remembered why they mattered. The fallout didn't begin with headlines. It began with whispers. A delayed report here. A revised projection there. Small adjustments that only insiders notice. Those are the early symptoms. Then a client asked a dangerous question. Not loud. Not angry. Precise. Who approved this deviation? That question froze a room. Because approvals leave fingerprints. The new leadership answered confidently. Confidently wrong. Within days, the question returned. From another client. Then a regulator. Then an internal compliance team. That's when panic becomes visible. Meetings multiplied. Emails grew longer. Explanations became circular. They created task forces. Task forces are where responsibility goes to disappear. I watched from a distance, not interfering, letting gravity work. Then it happened. A trade publication released a short article. Neutral tone. Sharp implications. It didn't accuse. Compared. Performance before my exit. Performance after. Trends don't lie. My phone started buzzing. Former colleagues. Old partners. People who hadn't spoken to me in months. Richard. Are you seeing this? Yes, I said. I am. Inside the company, leadership issued reassurance. Markets hate reassurance. Because reassurance appears when confidence is gone. The man who replaced me went on record. Smiling. Relaxed. We're navigating temporary challenges. Temporary. That word ages badly. 2 days later, a deal collapsed. PUBL. Likely. Not catastrophic. Embarrassing. Clients began pausing engagements. Not canceling. Pausing. Pauses cost more than exits. The board called an emergency session. No agenda shared. That means fear, not strategy. For the first time since my removal, my name appeared in a document. Not prominently. In a footnote. Prior frameworks under Richard Blackwell. That was enough. Once your name re-enters the conversation, the story has changed. A board member reached out discreetly, not asking for help, asking for history. Why did you insist on layered approvals? I answered calmly, because layered approvals protect against confident mistakes. Silence followed. Then, we may have underestimated that. Underestimation is the polite word for regret. Inside the company, factions formed. Some defended leadership. Others quietly prepared exits. Preparation is a signal. The man who replaced me stopped smiling publicly. His interviews shortened. His tone tightened. Confidence cracks before collapse. That night I wrote again. They said my name because they ran out of explanations. This wasn't revenge yet. This was recognition. And recognition is dangerous. Because it invites comparison. Boardrooms don't explode. They suffocate. The emergency meeting wasn't announced. It leaked. That's how you know control is gone. No presentations. No confidence slides. Just folders. Thick ones. The chair opened calmly. Too calmly. Calmness at the start of a crisis is rarely reassurance. Questions came without accusation. Why were approval layers removed? Why were safeguards bypassed? Why were risks reclassified? No one answered directly. They spoke around facts. That language never survives minutes. One board member leaned forward. When Richard Blackwell blocked this structure, What reason did he give? Silence. Because the answer was inconvenient. The compliance report spoke next. Dry. Precise. Unemotional. That's the most dangerous tone. Findings showed patterns. Not crimes. Negligence. Patterns don't defend themselves. Leader. Ship shifted in their seats. When posture changes, power already has. Someone said it quietly. We moved too fast. Another corrected him. No. We removed the wrong control. That distinction ended debates. The chair requested external review. Independent. Unfiltered. Uncontrollable. That single decision dismantled authority in the room. No protests. That's when you know resistance is dead. I received an email that evening. No greeting. No apology. Just one line. The board may require historical clarification. Clarification. Not advice. They wanted memory. I didn't answer immediately, because timing turns information into leverage. Inside the company, behavior changed overnight. Decisions stalled. People documented instructions. Meetings were recorded. Fear replaced confidence. 2 executives resigned within a week. No statements, just absence. Experience leaves before blame arrives. When I finally replied, I used 8 words. Available to clarify systems, not outcomes. That sentence mattered. The clarification session was quiet. No ego. No defense. Just questions. I answered factually. Why controls existed. What risks they mitigated. What shortcuts invited. No one interrupted. That's rare. When I finished, the room stayed silent. Then the chair spoke. We underestimated continuity. That's the corporate way of saying we broke it. As I left, no one offered a handshake. Not out of disrespect. Out of realization. That night, I wrote, when rooms stop pretending, they start remembering who warned them. This wasn't victory. This was inevitability. After the clarification session, everything slowed down. Not intentionally. Fear does that. Emails waited for approval. Approvals waited for signatures. Signatures waited for certainty. Certainty never came. The board split quietly. Not into enemies. Into survivors. Some wanted damage control. Others wanted accountability. Accountability requires names. Names make enemies. The man who replaced me stopped attending meetings. Then, he stopped returning calls. Leadership disappears before it resigns. An internal memo circulated. Language polished. Meaning sharp. Temporary leadership restructuring. Temporary is how guilt buys time. I received the call on a Tuesday morning. Direct. No preface. Richard. The chair said, we want you back. Not advisory. Not clarification. Back. I didn't answer immediately. Silence isn't hesitation. It's measurement. They outlined the offer. Authority. Autonomy. Restoration. Everything I lost. I asked one question. Who carries responsibility for the last 6 months? Silence. Heavy. That silence exposed the real problem. They wanted repair without reckoning. I can stabilize systems, I said, but I won't absorb your failure. The line went quiet. Later that day, news broke. Another executive stepped down. No explanation, just timing. The market reacted. Not violently, nervously. Nervous markets remember patterns. Inside the company, loyalty evaporated. People prepared exit plans. Resumes updated quietly. Confidence can't survive ambiguity. That evening, the man who replaced me called. Voice exhausted. Not angry. I didn't know it would break like this, he said. Ignorance doesn't absolve leadership. You removed safeguards, I replied. You removed memory. He resigned the next morning. No announcement, just absence. The board called again. This time, different tone. Urgent. We need you, they said. That sentence shifts power completely. I opened my notebook for the last time and wrote, the greatest leverage is deciding whether to return at all. Revenge was no longer about collapse. It was about choice. When they asked me to return, they expected relief. They didn't get it. Power returned to me quietly. Not officially. Not announced. In conversations. In pauses. In who waited for whose response. The board wanted restoration. Not reflection. That's always the mistake. I met them one final time. No lawyers. No presentations. Just people who had run out of certainty. They repeated the offer. Expanded it. Sweetened it. Authority. Control. Legacy. I listened carefully. Then I asked my final question. What changes when I leave again? No one answered. Because nothing would. I stood up. Not angrily. Decisively. I won't return as a shield, I said. I won't absorb mistakes I didn't make. The room went still. They didn't argue. They understood. Instead, I offered something else. A structure. Independent oversight. Shared authority. Recorded accountability. No single hero. No silent backbone. Systems that survive egos. They hesitated. Then accepted. Because collapse had educated them. I didn't take my job back. I redesigned the room that removed me. Months passed. The company stabilized. Not impressively. Correctly. No headlines. No praise. Just consistency. That's how real recovery looks. People asked why I didn't return. Why I didn't reclaim what was mine. Because reclaiming isn't winning. It's repeating. On my 49th birthday, I sat alone with coffee. No bitterness. No pride. Just clarity. I didn't destroy anyone. I didn't need to. They collapsed under the weight of what they removed. I didn't forgive them either. Forgiveness wasn't required. Understanding was. This story isn't about revenge. It's about restraint.